My God, what a start to a song. This is so heavy. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album When the Kite String Pops by Acid Bath. Now this one has been suggested quite a bit down in the comments here on my channel. A lot of you want me to give Acid Bath a listen. Specifically this album from them. This is their debut studio album that they released in 1994 and a lot of you just keep saying it's really heavy, really sludgy with its sound. They don't hold back on this one at all. So yeah, I'm really excited to check it out and see what I'm going to think of Acid Bath. Alright, getting this album started is track 1 called The Blue. Man, all that vocal distortion, there's something so just muffled and kind of garbled about its tone. I love these little change-ups they keep doing. It's so drawn in and heavy and sludgy. It's like walking through molasses and then it'll speed up a little bit. It sounds like there's two vocalists too. One a bit more melodic, and then the second just has this piercing, kind of blood-curdling tone to his voice. Such a squeaky, almost abrasive tone from this guitar too. Just really adding to that sort of heavy, ominous tone that this whole song has. Well, that was track 1, The Blue. Just so incredibly sludgy. It was like you were walking through this puddle of quicksand or something. It was just sucking you in with its sound. It kind of reminded me if you took all of the sludginess of the likes of Alice in Chains or something like that, and all of the thrash metal intensity of a band like Pantera and fused it together. That's what it reminded me of. And I loved, too, the switch-ups of the speedy parts of that song, and then they would slow it right back down, and they kept taking it back and forth. I just loved that contrast going on. But what a fantastic start to this album, that's for sure. I'm going to continue on with track 2, which is called Tranquilized. I love that guitar tone in the background. There's something so elasticy about it. I love that moment of stillness right before the chorus, and then the chorus just comes in with so much energy and all of this momentum. Got goosebumps from this guitar. There's just something so incredibly sludgy about it. I love it. Just so heavy. That was track 2, Tranquilized. I'm finding the vocals really fascinating on this album so far. They're already heavy enough, but they add that distortion to it that just makes it that much more ominous and kind of threatening and so heavy with its tone. And that one, yet again, they kept switching it up. There were these moments where the song kind of picked up speed a little bit, and then it would just pull you down into that really slowed down portion, and they just kept taking it back and forth between the two. But continuing on to track 3 is Cheap Vodka. It sounds like a second vocalist at times in the background, kind of screaming out the words. It's creating this really unsettling sort of echoey quality. The sound of that guitar, man, it's so twangy and yet so incredibly heavy at the same time. Well, that was track 3, Cheap Vodka. That sure was an intense little song. For only a 2-minute runtime, they packed so much energy in that one. Again, kind of reminiscent of Pantera to me just because of the sheer amount of energy and brutality that they poured on that. I love the tuning of their instrumentals. It's just creating this amazing sludginess. It just pulls you in, and they don't really let you go until the end of the song. But I'm going to move on to track 4, which is called Finger Painting of the Insane. Alright, the vocals are a little bit different on this one. They're more clear. They don't have that distortion on them. That little percussive flair just there. That was fun. It just feels to me like this song is building up. It has all of this tension and energy that just keeps bubbling right under the surface. That was quite the vocalization there, like a really distorted scream almost. That was track 4, Finger Painting of the Insane. Such an unsettling track. At the end there, it sounded like he was saying, rape the mother, kill the father, and he just kept repeating that over and over, just putting this really gruesome imagery in your head. I loved the vocal dynamics on that one, how they were using those cleaner vocals at times mixed with those harsher, distorted ones. On the clean vocal deliveries, there was something about that track that was a little bit reminiscent of System of a Down to me. It kind of had that quality to its tone. But I'm going to continue on with track 5, which is called Jezebel. Ooh, I love that bass. Again, just all of this fuzzy distortion that's so heavily utilized on this album. It's just creating this amazing sound. I love the percussion right here. Even though this part is so minimal, it's like it's still keeping this great pace going. Shards of teeth, ice pick abortions, hearts will stop, brain cells from apocalyptic. This is how it feels to die. It's okay. Again, very violent, gruesome imagery with the lyrics. That was track 5, Jezebel. I loved how at the end there you had all of those little like rapid popping sounds from the guitar. That was so much fun. It was really unexpected. And the drums were standing out on that track big time to me. I loved the little sounds that I was picking up on from time to time at those quiet moments. The drums would still kind of create this momentum that kept the track going. It just had a great flow to it. All right, I'm going to move on to track 6, which is called Scream of the Butterfly. I love the tone of this guitar. It's so clear. All of that distortion that they've been using is gone. She smells like a child with flowers and a hell with blood on her hands into the city shed. Like the scream of the butterfly. Yeah, it's just a shame that they eat their own babies. Who cares? Yeah, there's something almost melodic about this track. More stripped back and that distortion is gone. Certainly a different sound compared to how the rest of this album has been. There's blood on Yeah, I love these vocals. They have this almost calming, serene quality to them. Sunshine, your house in flame, resurrection, she runs through fields of daisies. Those drums. Oh, that's such a magnificent tone that they've got. Like the scream of the butterfly, yeah. Drop some acid, kill their hands. That was track 6, Scream of the Butterfly. I really enjoyed the tone of that one. Kind of unexpected. This album so far has been so heavy and sludgy, and they've utilized all of that distortion. And that one had this really beautiful clarity to its tone, not only with his vocals, but with those instrumentals as well. And it's interesting too, the contrast between kind of this childhood innocence and then all of this intensity and violence. They're kind of going back and forth a lot with their lyrics on that. But I'm going to move on to track 7, which is called Dr. Seuss Is Dead. My God, what a start to a song. This is so heavy. Those backing vocals are just so distorted. They have such a visceral tone to them. It's almost like a panther screaming or something. And there's like this stretched out quality to this song too that's just adding even more to that heaviness. It's like everything is kind of in slow motion. That was track 7, Dr. Seuss Is Dead. My god, that one was so incredibly heavy. I love too how they kind of played off of the whole Dr. Seuss thing with that track, because Dr. Seuss is associated with animals, and there was something so animalistic about the sound of that track. So heavy, and then with all of those vocalizations and everything that they were doing, it just kind of had this animalistic, unleashed quality to it. Just something so unhinged about that track. But I'm going to continue on with track 8, which is called Dope Fiend. Okay, a little change up. Those vocals were just coming at you like an attack, and then all of a sudden they kind of pull it back, and there's this more almost languid quality that they have. I love the bass just there, kind of shining through a little bit. I love how there's this guitar solo going on, but it's kind of pushed a little bit in the background. There's still all of this distortion and kind of this wall of sound going on around it. Okay, that one had a great transition into the next track, but that was track 8, Dope Fiend. So much heaviness with that one. I mean, this whole album is heavy, obviously, but that one, it was just like they were screaming the vocals at you. Just this visceral intensity. I loved at the very end there how they were kind of stopping it a little bit, and then the song would kick back in. They're doing all of these little fun things. As heavy as this album is, it's very entertaining too, just because of all the little fun effects and the different sounds of the instruments that they're adding in. Moving on is track 9 called Toubabo Koomi, if I'm pronouncing that right. Those drums, they're just so unbridled. They've got so much energy to them. Yeah, I love how they're balancing out these vocals. You have those extremely harsh ones with all of the distortion, and then there's these more pulled in, I don't want to say melodic, but a little bit more calmed down vocals with less of that distortion. And they're kind of doing this call and response between the two. Just like that, they slow it right down. They pull you back into that amazing sludginess. That was track 9, Toubabo Koomi. That one was kind of reminding me a little bit of Sepultura at times. The one Sepultura album that I've heard also kind of has this wild, unhinged quality to it. And the contrast was so good on that track of those speedier parts, and then they just slow it way down and it takes on a completely different tone. Their ability to switch up their music so much like that is amazing. But I'm going to continue with track 10 called God Machine.
The God machine is hungry for individuals that have the right brains, and in love and joy dead boys on the backs of abandoned cars.
It sounds like some sort of vocal sampling here at the start.
God has made you two right.
Man, it's like gunfire going off. Such a speedy delivery here. What is that sound coming in? It almost sounds like someone vocalizing, like a chant or something. Interesting how the lyric screaming, when he said that, it all of a sudden got quiet. Such a contrast to what he's saying. Quite an intense ending to that one, but that was track 10, God Machine. That one was very rhythmic. It kind of had this structured quality to it. It was like hitting you over the head like a hammer or something. It had less of that sort of stretched out, really pulled down, murky heaviness to it, and that one was a little bit more sharp and intense. And again, so much going on in terms of the variety of the sounds with that one. I kept hearing things that I wasn't quite sure what instrument was making that sound. All right, moving on to track 11 is the Morticians Flame. It was only a matter of time before the shrieks and wails started coming in. The bass is shining through so beautifully on this song. Well, that was track 11, the Morticians Flame. I enjoyed with that one how they were fusing those kind of chant-like vocals that I've mentioned that they've utilized on this album on other tracks with all of that intensity. And it was just a great blend of those two sides of their sound. And the bass was shining through so nicely on that song. I think that was my favorite part, especially right there at the beginning. It just had this amazing richness to its tone. But up next is track 12 called What Color Is Death? My God, this is a speedy little track. I love that guitar. Such a cool distortion they're using on it too, kind of this watery quality that it's got. I loved that scream. It just kind of faded out into this really, again, sort of watery, distorted sound. Such a blood-curdling tone to it. That was track 12, What Color Is Death? Such an unhinged song. My God, the energy on that one was just such a force coming at you. They're definitely kind of going back and forth between those punchy, more aggressive parts and then the really slowed down, sludgy sounding ones. And that one kind of went in the more aggressive, punchy direction with its tone. And I loved how much the guitars were really shining on that one. Again, just kind of bringing a little bit more speediness to that track. They just had this great momentum to their sound. All right, moving on is track 13 called The Bones of Baby Dolls. I just can't get over some of these track names. I do love when they use this acoustic guitar. It's such a different tone for them. Okay, I was expecting the song to all of a sudden get really heavy and intense, but this is a completely new sound. There's so much distortion on these vocals. It's like they're kind of echoing around my headphones. Okay, now the vocals are back to this clearer tone. They're a little bit louder too. That was track 13, The Bones of Baby Dolls. A beautiful tone from that acoustic guitar across that entire track. I loved the sound of that. In that sense, it kind of reminded me of Scream of the Butterfly. It just had this slightly more gentle melodic approach to its sound. And the switch up on the vocals there, how they were clear at the start and then they got really distorted and they had this amazing atmospheric sound to them and then they switched back at the end. I loved how they did that. Just a really cool sound to that song. But I'm going to move on to the final song on When the Kite String Pops, which is track 14 called Cassie Eats Cockroaches.
She came towards me with the light like it was to have her right down there on the floor with the holding out. Real savage.
Alright, the heaviness is back in full force on this one. Some of these vocals, it's almost like it's taken from a movie excerpt or something and then distorted. I love that sludginess from the bass. That tone is just, oh, it's so good. That was track 14, Cassie Eats Cockroaches. So much going on, so much brutal intensity. Those vocals are just so harsh, and with that distortion and everything, they have this amazing kind of muffled quality to them. And then with the use too of those other vocals that I mentioned kind of sounding like a movie soundtrack, it just created this feeling in my head when I was listening to it of being disoriented, like there was so much going on. Just truly like you're going insane listening to it, but in the best way possible. Well, that concludes my reaction to When the Kite String Pops, the debut studio album from the band Acid Bath. Where to even begin with this record, I don't even know. This thing was so brutal and heavy. I loved how sludgy this one was. And so much variety too. This album is pretty long. It's well over an hour in length, and it just flew by when I was listening to it because I felt like there was always something new that each track was introducing. The opening track, The Blue, was definitely a standout, a great start to the album, and I loved how slowed down and sludgy and kind of stretched out that one was in tone. And then track 7, Dr. Seuss Is Dead, was totally unhinged, just a wild track and so much energy they poured on that one. And then the bass on track 11, The Morticians Flame, was fantastic. I loved the tone of that. But a thoroughly entertaining album from start to finish, that's for sure. I'm so glad that a lot of you are recommending this one to me and that I have finally heard some music from Acid Bath. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you want me to hear any more from this band. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.